up your head to the rising sun. Bahamas, march on to glory. Your bright banners waving high. See how the world longs the manner of your bearing. Pledge to excellence through love and unity, pressing onward, march together to a common loftier goal.
Welcome back to another exciting conversation here on Effective Living. One day we're going to do bleepers, and one day we're going to do the talk behind the scene of moments like these. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad to have my good friend back with us here on Effective Living. You know, during this time of the year, the Bahamas is lit just because it's our independence, but more specifically this year, it's our 50th year of independence. So I made sure that I have my flag represented. So I have my friend Andrea joining us back here on Effective Living Conversation. How are you doing, lady?
I'm great, Ricardo. Thanks for having me back again.
Listen, man, the last few times we've had our talks, you went all in, you always delivered. I mean, tell our viewing audience a little bit about yourself. I love your passion and commitment to all things purposeful. And so tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, when I describe myself, I like to talk about my passions. And I'm passionate about youth empowerment, women empowerment, and anything continuous learning. I'm a professional project manager by trade. I'm also an Agilist, advanced Scrum Master, and a professional Kanban trainer. So everything project management, I'm very passionate about it.
When you say, you know, I'm passionate about it, I know that to be true. Now, you know, you're a Bahamian, okay? And when you think about your passion and the whole idea of being proud to be Bahamian, when did that factor kick in where you're like, hey, listen, not only am I proud to do what I do, and I'm really energetic and involved in my craft, but I'm Bahamian. Proud to be Bahamian. What comes to mind when you think of that statement?
Well, I know that I'm a proud Bahamian because everywhere I go, I travel with my flag, and I recently had an opportunity when I became the first professional Kanban trainer with ProKanban.org in the entire Caribbean region to go and meet with my peers in Atlanta, Georgia. And I took my flag with me and I had everybody taking pictures behind the flag, in front of the flag. And I'm like, okay. And I know they were thinking like, this is a crazy person. She travels with her country's flag, but that's just how patriotic I am and how proud I am. And especially when there's a momentous occasion, like being the first at something ever, that's like podium, national anthem, and flag worthy. Like I felt like I was in the Olympics.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, I've been watching you over the years, and you and I, we've seen some incredible things happen within our country. What would be one of those moments that, listen, lately it just impressed on your heart to be like, man, I'm so happy of who we are and how we're developing as a country, a proud historical moment for you? What would that be?
Well, I could think of so many historical moments that made me proud. But one historical moment that happened recently was my daughter, who's now 11. She was invited to participate in a commercial that features Dame Marguerite Pendling that's going to be aired for National Heroes Day. And she was chosen amongst two other young ladies who are entrepreneurs. And she started her business at the age of 10. And they chose her to be featured as part of this amazing, I call it it's just a 1-minute video, but it's very prominent, and it's something that she's proud of and I'm proud of because she's in a commercial with Dame Marguerite Pendling.
Yeah. This is so good. So look, you've always had, just as you're taking care of your daughter and so many others Where did your passion and commitment come from in regards to working with the next generation? You've always had a heart to serve the next generation. When did that light bulb come on for you to say, I'm going to give back?
Well, I didn't really have a light bulb moment. I had a moment where when I became a member of my church and I got saved, I wanted to serve in ministry. I wanted to give back.
Okay.
And I just happened to get placed in the Royal Rangers Boys Club, which is a youth ministry. And I've served there for over 20 years. And I've also become a certified youth leader with the Ministry of Youth. And I'm also a part of the Bahamas National Youth Association. So my passion with youth kind of developed as I went along with my ministerial duties as being a member of my local church.
The idea of being Bahamian is also attached to the concept of getting better. Would you say that's true? Because I mean, there are a lot of Bahamians who are really into continual education, different forms of certification, and development. Do you think that's almost could be said synonymous to being Bahamian? I'm pushing it there, but I'm feeling really good about that statement. What's your thought?
No, well, for me, I always tell persons that, I have a lot of letters behind my name. My family actually call it the alphabet soup. And I'm not trying to just obtain letters. I'm trying to obtain knowledge because knowledge is power. And knowledge doesn't stop. Not because you get a certification in right, so I don't have to continuously learn. The world changes so quickly that you have to be a continuous learner. And the only way we can compete with our peers on a global market is we have to be able to always be at the top of our game. We have to be, we have to just be knowledgeable. And I always tell people as I seek more knowledge, don't look at me and say, oh, she's an island girl. She's just limited by her geographical region. I may be an island girl, but I have a global mindset. And that's the difference.
So good, so good. Let's talk about this island girl, global mindset, born and raised in the Bahamas. There's someone in Acklands, there is somebody in Inagua, maybe even Andres or Eleuthera. They're going to be watching us. And I want you to talk to them about your view on Bahamian women in our society now advancing at such high rate of positions throughout the country. What's your view on that? 50 years of independence and the role of Bahamian women in our society.
Well, I would just like to encourage women, but I think this word of advice can go to everybody.
Yeah.
To just think big. Don't limit yourself to thinking of what you can accomplish just at home. Think global. Because I would never have thought if someone said to me 5 years ago, I would have been running my own business and having international clients. I would be like, get out of here. That's unheard of. I always felt like I had to work for somebody.
Right.
And I know a lot of persons have that mindset that I just need to have a job. But you have to change that thinking and feel like, hey, maybe I can be an employer and not just settle for being an employee. And once you make that first step, you'll be surprised at how the world would embrace you and encourage you and support you. Once you're pursuing what is your dream, your vision, and what you're passionate about.
So good, so good. Andrea, you mentioned the island. A lot of people don't know the islands have so many incredible memories built with them, and when people, visit them, and even the ones who are living on them have incredible moments. When you think about your having grown up in the Bahamas, visiting a number of the islands, let's talk about one of those moments you've had to been there. One of those moments you've had to been there. I think about when I was in Rock Sound, Eleuthera, and they took me to this ocean hole, blue hole, and I jumped off of that rock. It was mind blowing. Not only was it mind blowing, then to swim across it, knowing that it had no bottom. I mean, that was crazy, insane. Talk to us about one of those moments for you that was you had to be there and bring it to life for us as much as you can.
Well, I have family members that are located throughout the Bahamas. And as you know, we have 700 islands and keys.
Yeah.
And I am a strong believer in domestic tourism. So I try to travel to a family island at least once a year. But it's so funny that you mentioned Blue Hole because my memory would be from a camping experience where I serve as a camp commander for Camp Wilderness. and we actually had to take the young girls to the Blue Hole in the Berry Islands on Little Harbor Key.
Yeah.
And they dared me to jump from the top of a 20-foot cliff into this Blue Hole. And persons wanted to record it. And let's just say the cell phone batteries died in the process because I was terrified that I was going to be the first one to jump from this 20-foot cliff and land on the rocks. So it took me about an hour to jump off the cliff. But what was so amazing was when I actually did it, that feeling of I accomplished something, I motivated these young girls, and I will never do it again.
Wow. He said, I will never do it again.
Yeah, it was like a one and done.
When you look at the Bahamas, Andrea, when you look at the Bahamas, what concerns you the most? Well, you've had your hands connected, you've been involved with so much throughout our country. What concerns you the most about the future? What concerns you about so much today?
Well, I have so many concerns, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer or somebody who's pessimistic about the country, but one of the things that concerns me the most, I'll stick to my field of project management. I read an article last week that mentioned that the renovations to Government House saw a double budget from what was supposed to be the budget for the renovations. At the end of the project, it was double the cost that was projected for the renovations. And I'm like, that's a little questionable.
Yeah.
That's a little suspect. And it warrants further investigation. So in my field as a project manager, I'm questioning what went wrong. Yeah. At what point did we not know that there was so much cost overruns that we now double the cost for renovations at the Government House? Yeah. So we have to be more transparent as a country as far as our dealings with the public and the public funds, and open and honest. We can't go anywhere if we can't have transparency and honesty in the way we conduct business in the Bahamas.
So good. And boy, that's going to be some work to be done because, the little underhand shady deals, it's definitely, it's taking a blow or a hit to our overall development.
Yes, it is.
Let's talk about this. One, when you look at our country and the maturing factors, what's your thoughts on what is maturing though? For me, I found that patriotism is something that I found we're becoming stronger now than we've ever been. I've been a Bahamian now all my life, but over the years,
that's
right. No, that's not questionable. Hey, but watch this. For years, I often thought a lot of other countries were more patriotic than we were. But I'm telling you, I must say, maybe even in the last decade, July started to come alive. I don't know if a lot of the entrepreneurs who had skill set or training in branding and marketing and then the internet brought a balanced play on some of it for us to be able to compete in the world and branding ourselves as Bahamians. What's your view on the maturing factor of us now coming into our own per se? Because we do know we have this fear of losing ourselves as well. And I think there is an effort trying to come about to say, what is Bahamian?
Well, I think your perspective on the patriotism of Bahamians may be a bit skewed because you are living out of the country. And I'm seeing that Bahamians who have left the country seem to be more patriotic than those who are still here. We don't tend to support our own. We like to party, but that's just it. It's a party. And what spoke very loudly to me is that Evangelistic Temple, the church that I'm a member of, we hosted the national prayer meeting recently for the government to say, well, come together and let's celebrate the country and this fact that we're celebrating 50 years of independence. And that's a national prayer meeting. Yeah. And the church was not even halfway filled. But yet have a block party and you can't get through the corner. So it's like, what are we patriotic towards? Are we patriotic to what matters? Are we patriotic to what keeps us with our identity? Or are we just a people who like to party and have a good time?
Wow. Such a good point. Now, a lot of people in the Caribbean, including the Bahamas, boy, them street parties or something else, they'll pull them out now, right?
Yep, they do.
And I think it's definitely something we need to look at and say, okay, where's our priority? Let's talk about youth development. Over the years, you've been involved in youth programs. What do you think needs to be with us moving forward? Some initiative that really needs to be pushed in regards to youth development.
Well, what I would say first off is that the way that we conduct business needs to be overhauled. This generation cannot be micromanaged. They're not workers, they're thinkers. And we're not treating the youths the way they're supposed to be treated. We're dealing with knowledge workers. We're dealing with a different generation of people. These people they don't care about their salary. They care about making a difference. They care about impact. And we're not allowing them that opportunity to have that impact in the country. We're just saying, come to work, get your little minimum wage, and then go home and do this routine. They don't want a routine. They want to make a difference. And we will never embrace that unless we realize that this generation is different from the former generation. This generation needs to be treated differently. And we need to stop bringing back the retirees to fill roles that the young persons can do. Every government that changes, we have these old parliamentarians and these old permanent secretaries who've been retired 5 and 10 years. They coming back and they taking these positions that someone else can fill it from the young people. But we just recycle these people, and we're not seeing any growth because their mindset is stuck in 20 years ago. And the ideas that they're coming up with is not revolutionary, is not progressive. It's just archaic, and it's the same old all over again.
Wow. Those are strong words, Andrea. Those are strong words. And our viewers are listening. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, subscribe to this YouTube channel or share this live that's happening right here on Facebook. Andrea, I want to ask you this. The world, as we know it, has changed. I remember going to Aaron Bailey and they talk about globalization. And the word globalization was being introduced because they said the internet's coming in and people are going to be able to do business around the world. And you are now tapping into that, being a Bahamian. Talk to us about us as a culture, as a nation, as a people, having to now adjust our understanding of doing business. Just like you said, you're now established as a reputable voice in your field in the Caribbean. Throughout the United States, you will be called upon to do business. Yeah. Throughout the region, you'll be called to do business. Bahamians, let's talk about Bahamians and lack of acceptance that, hey, just as much as we want to go to other shores to do business, people are coming to our shores. So globalization, talk about it being at our shores now, and that you are no longer competing with the boy from Acklins or from Eleuthera or from Grand Bahama, but you're competing with the guy who came in to go to UB from Jamaica, yeah. From Dominican Republic, from Haiti, from, you know what I'm saying? There's a global village now emerging in the Bahamas as it was for a long time in Florida and in Atlanta and in New York, even Japan and London. Those places were always global mashed. Yes. We respected them a lot for a lot of things, but one of the things I think for us in the Bahamas, the places we celebrate the most, we take very little respect for is their integration of different cultures. Yeah. What's your view on that?
I think you're trying to get me expelled from the country with these questions. I gotta listen at my door for the knock.
I know.
But I don't think that we're progressing the way we should as a nation, because first of all, I personally don't feel, and this is my personal opinion, yeah. I personally don't feel as though Bahamians support Bahamians. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We will willingly and gladly accept a foreigner into this country to do work, yeah. But our own will be qualified, yeah. And we will not look and say, well, let me hire my own first. We say that we do it, but it's all lip service. We don't actually do it.
Do you think that is rooted in familiarity? You think it's familiarity / a light level of disrespect and belief of, boy, that's, that's John's son from Auckland. So, where we gonna put no $10 million project in John's son
No.
from Auckland. But we brought in Tony from New York and paid Tony $1 million
Yeah,
to
exactly.
run a $10 million deal. And Tony is just like John's son. As a matter of fact, John's son is more educated than Tony. What's your view there?
My view is, I don't know if you ever heard about the black crab syndrome,
I do.
right?
Mhm.
My view is that that's what we have in the Bahamas. We don't promote and support our own because we want to keep you down. And we don't want you to excel and propel above us because we all want to be at the bottom together.
Yeah.
And like you said to me years ago, when you're climbing to the top, you encourage persons to support that climb to the top.
Yeah.
But there's the majority of persons are not supporting your climb.
Well, that's
They're
true.
sitting back and they're trying to wait for you to have a decline so that they could just celebrate that.
Wow.
But we don't support our own enough. And it's a sad indictment on us as a nation. But the good thing about it is once you realize that your market is bigger than the Bahamas, then you can thrive regardless of what support you get.
Yeah.
So it's all about your mindset, knowing that, hey, my bread and butter doesn't come from home, and that's okay.
Yeah. Wow. And that is a reality for a lot of people. Let's talk about this. The future of the Bahamas. What do you foresee? I mean, if you had your way, come on and challenge us, because this is documented. This ain't going nowhere. This will be on the World Wide Web for a long time. And we're going to look back at this and say, Andrea said that, she predicted that the Bahamas should be leaning towards this way. And this is what she declared. And we're seeing some of that. That could be the reality. Well, what's your view on the future of the Bahamas? What do you see?
I really hope that there will be a change in the way we celebrate Bahamians. I am hoping that we don't have to wait until a Bahamian leaves the country, obtains success, get some kind of recognition, and then we try to claim that person as our own.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen over and over and over again, not only with the baseball players, the basketball players, the young lady who's an astronaut and just went to space. Like you don't hear about these people until they're in the international press. And it's like, oh, we're trying to claim them now. They're Bahamian. Let's come back and let's have them do something in the Bahamas. Why can't we celebrate the achievements that Bahamians are making while they are on our shores, while they are at home? Why do we have to wait until the foreigners embrace them, celebrate them, love on them before we accept them as our own? And I hope that mindset will change, and that instead of us trying to pull each other down, we will realize that when one of us makes it to the mountaintop, there's a hand extended to bring up our fellow brother man and say, I'm at the top. The world sees me. Let me bring 10 of you or 20 of you behind me, because you can thrive just as well. But if you always have that chain on your ankle and someone is pulling you down and trying to keep you down, it's a struggle. And it doesn't have to be a struggle if we would just uplift each other. We say we are onward, upward, forward, and together, but are we truly together? That's my question. Are we truly together? We're celebrating 50 years of independence, and we're celebrating the one or two of us who actually making it. But how much more of us can we be celebrating if we would just be more supportive?
Yeah. Andrea, I heard the knock on the door. I heard the knock. I heard they coming for you.
I should have packed my suitcase before I did this interview.
I know. No, this is so good. This is so good. One of the things I made a commitment to do was, one, never forget home. And I made a commitment, as you know, every year I've been making my trip back home through a number of different initiatives. And I'm reinventing myself for next year to come home with a different approach, but yet, once again, annual initiatives to give back. But in addition, I said I'm going to fly my flag high here where I am, on anywhere I am, and then I'm also going to look for Bahamians. I feel an anointing right now. I said I'm going to look for Bahamians and I'm going to celebrate them. I'm going to help push, and I said however I can, because like you mentioned, I see I've seen the problem, and I've seen Bahamians come here who they came here. They're trying to establish themselves. Some of us have been here a long time, and we don't pass the extended hand to the other person until they've arrived. Why do we wait until they, like you mentioned, they're at the hilltop, and now we want to talk? Hey, we need to collaborate. Why didn't you consider collaborating with me when I was trying? Because you were 5 years ahead of me, 10 years ahead of me, 20 years ahead of me, and so forth. So that's been one of my things lately. And so with you mentioning that, it's as a matter of fact, I think both you and I connected a few years back with similar interests to basically help others climb.
Yes.
Yeah, help others climb. So thank you for your passion and your commitment. Now your independence speech. I need you to give your closing remarks. We're about to celebrate 50 years of independence. What an incredible mark on us having 50 years of independence, still continue to be a beacon of light within the region, a very, very respected country. We got a lot of work to do.
Yes,
we still have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of things to do to ensure that we can keep our place of prominence and structure and development in a way that others will glean from us as we continue to move on. What do you say to those who are watching as we end our talk? It's independence. It's your closing remark. What do you say?
I would just like to encourage anyone who is watching or listening. It's always better in the Bahamas. I would not want to live anywhere else. I love being a Bahamian. That's all I know. That's all I will ever know. Everything I do, everything I say, I do it with exceptional pride. And I know that I'm not just representing myself, I'm representing an entire country. And I would just like to encourage others. You don't have to be the first at something, but always try to be the best at something. Give your best at everything you do, and you will shine no matter what, because you're giving your best. And help someone if you can. Always, when a hand is extended to you, always turn around and help somebody else.
Wow. Help if you can. I love the statement that you use as well. You don't have to be the first, but you can definitely be the best. Go on. Thank you so much, lady. You're always a blessing. You always bring such good insight to these conversations. We appreciate you. How can our viewers follow you and connect with what you do?
Well, if you'd allow me a second to give a shameless plug.
Yeah, go for it.
Like I said, I'm the first professional Kanban trainer in the entire Caribbean, the only Bahamian professional Kanban trainer. And this month, I'm offering applying professional Kanban courses, July 17, 18, and 19, and also on the 24th and 29th, 2 separate courses. And I'm doing it with an independence special, $997 independence special. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just put in my full government name, Andrea Pratt-Smith, and you will find me. And I hope that some of you will be interested in learning about Kanban. If you're not, then you could always reach out to me to find out about everything Agile, a little bit about Scrum, project management. I do old and new. So feel free to reach out, and I'm here to help you on your continuous learning journey.
Love it, love it, love it. Keep soaring, lady. We are enjoying watching you go to new levels and new heights. And like you said, with going to the top, the statement is lonely at the top. I tell people it's only lonely at the top when you're taking the journey by yourself.
Yes.
You are sure not doing that. You're doing it with others, and we salute you for that. Happy Independence, Bahamas. God bless you guys. Have a good night.